Hi, this is Kara McNull. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And today we're going to be making this thank you card. And the front looks like this, and the inside looks like this with a little bit of bling. And this stamp set is one that's going to be soon retiring. It's in our annual catalog, and it's called One Big Meaning. So lots of thank yous on here, and it's a clear mount stamp in red rubber. And the designer series paper we're going to be using is on, let me bring in my catalog here, also retiring. It's called Whole Lot of Lovely Designer Series Paper. It's on page 188 of our catalog. So get this while you can. The item number is 144110. So let me just bring in the designer series paper. When I first saw the paper, I was like, wow, these oranges are like huge, bright, bold. How can I cut this paper down to make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye? So what I thought what I would do is make strips out of it. So let me show you how we created this card. We will be using a piece of Pear Pizzazz, and that's our card base, and it is cut 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. We also need a piece of Tranquil Tide, and it's cut 4 by 5 1/4. That's our panel for the top, and then our two pieces of the designer series paper is cut 1 7/8 by 5. So let's just run our adhesive. I'm going to bring my silicone mat in just so I don't get the adhesive on my desk. I love the silicone mat. You can see it's kind of used a lot by all the marks on it, but I do really like it. So what I'm looking for is 1/4 inch on all 3 sides, and also that my designer series paper was going up. So if you would have put it on wrong, I think the flowers would have been going the wrong way. So just gotta be careful with your designer series paper, especially if it does have a pattern. And these oranges do have a pattern, so I'll make sure I'm putting those on the correct way. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up flush with the other side. And that should give me 1/4 inch on all 4 sides. Close enough? Alright, so now what we're going to do is bring in this is called the Finely Woven Ribbon, and it's Tranquil Tide. So what I'm just going to do is lay this on top of my panel just to get the length I need, and then just bring in my snips and cut this off. Right, the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to run adhesive in 3 locations along this seam here. What this does, it allows the ribbon to be secure on top of that card front. I'm just going to give that a good press, flip it over, and I'm going to bring in my Scotch tape, and I'm just going to secure the back of the ribbons to the back side. You could also use your adhesive if you want, but I find that the Scotch tape holds your ribbon much better. Alright, so now what we're going to do is just run adhesive on the back side of this panel, and we're going to mount it to the card front. Make sure you run the adhesive over that ribbon. Alright, so again, 1/4 inch on all 4 sides. Alright, so that's your front panel. So now let's work on the focal point in the inside panel and envelope. So now what we're going to need is a piece of Whisper White. Just a scrap will do. You need your Pear Pizzazz. We're only using 1 ink color for this card, which is great, especially if you don't have a lot of ink colors. This card is great for that. So I'm just going to stamp this down. Our next panel is the inside, and this is cut 4 by 5 1/4, your standard inside panel. I'm just going to give this a good press. I find with this stamp, it's really big. You're really going to have to mush it down a little bit, and I always double check on the back side that the ink is there. I'm just going to press that down and up. Okay, that's a little crooked, so let's try again. That's why we have 2 sides of every paper. Try that again. It's a little bit harder when you're filming. That's pretty good. Okay, so we're done with the ink pads. Now, most people are using the Big Shot these days, but you know what? I kind of miss my punches, don't you? So what we're going to need is the 2-inch circle punch and the 1 3/4 inch circle punch. So what we're going to do is we're just going to punch this out. Let's make sure it's straight. And then with the 1 3/4 inch circle punch, I'm just taking a piece of Pear Pizzazz cardstock, and we're going to punch that one out too. So easy. Alright, so now we're going to add our adhesive to the back side of the stamped thank you and give it a good press. And we'll flip this over, give it another good press, make sure that's secure. I'm going to add 3 dimensionals, and I'm almost out of these, so I like to use every piece of the dimensional. No need to throw those edges off because they work perfectly. And then just give them a good press in the middle so the backing comes up super easy. Alright, so we'll bring in our card front. This is our focal image here, the thank you, and we're just going to center it alongside this ribbon in the middle of the card. Give it a good tap. And now we're going to, doesn't matter which side, they're both a little crooked, but that's okay. It's a handmade card. Someone will like it, especially my customers. This will be my thank you, April thank you card going in the mail. And one final thing we'll do is I've got these glitter enamel dots. So I'm just going to add one to the exclamation point. I'm just going to bring in my piercing tool, and I'm going to grab one of these yellow ones, and I'm just going to add it to the exclamation point. The reason why I didn't put this on the front of the card is you can get away with it at the U.S. Postal Service. This will be a normal rate card, and if you put it on the front, they may charge you extra for it. So I thought it looked kind of fun right there. What do you like? Do you think it looks good there, or would you have preferred it on the front of the panel? You let me know in the comments below. So here's a card we made today, and here's a card that I created a little bit earlier today. And the envelope, what I did was I stamped that from the stamp set, a little thanks. There's no flowers or any kind of images you could use, so I thought that looked kind of fun on the front of the card. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully you'll use some of that whole lot of lovely designer series paper. For all your stamping needs, please visit my website at inspiredbygraham.com. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.